to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So would you please call roll?
Sarah Hall. Here. Nate Sassano.
Here.
Jeremy Scott.
Here.
Michael Wales.
Here.
Maggie Wakeman. Here.
We need to approve this evening's agenda. Do I have a motion or?
I motion to approve the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
Sarah Hall.
Yes.
Nate Sassano.
Yes.
Jeremy Scott.
Yes.
Michael Wales.
Yes.
Maggie Wakeman.
Yes.
So we're going to our special business of the evening, and before we get started, I'll kind of give you an outline of how things are going to play out here tonight. So this is a public hearing on the matter of the application of Pacifica, Colorado for a charter school to operate within the school district. For the tape record, present here tonight are myself, Michael Wales, Sarah Hall, Nate Sassano, Jeremy Scott, and Peggy Wakeman, all board members. Also present is Leslie Arnold, Superintendent of Schools, Becky Samborski, the CFO for the district, Kara Anderson, the Director of Human Resources for the district, and Adele Reister, the school district's attorney from Lyons and Gaddis. Along with Sheena McCowett, and mine aren't lining up here, so if I might miss somebody here, but along with Sheena McCowett, Craig Horton, Carlos Alvarez, Trevor Goodsell, Amanda Galliano, and Christina Rendon.
Christina was just not here. She was just going to do the audio, but we're doing a conference call.
Okay, and then Stephanie Potberg is on the call. Is anybody else on the call?
Nolan Easton and Rex Beal should be. We're trying to.
Okay, you're still working on that. And so that they will represent the charter school application and various members of the public who wish to speak to the board. So we're here tonight to consider the application filed by Civica Colorado. And the general format will be, first we're going to allow the applicant to make its presentation and then hear from any members of the public wishing to make comments specific to the application. The administration will then make its presentation followed by the DAC's presentation. The board may ask questions of both the administration and the DAC. The applicant will then have a final opportunity to respond to the information that has been presented and answer questions from the board. And so specifically the process is going to go like this. The applicant's going to be provided about 30 minutes to make your presentation to the board. There may be some Q&A at that point, just if there are some qualifying questions, probably unlikely. Then we'll provide time for public comment on the application. If needed, we'll take a short recess. That'll allow us to get switched over so the administration and the DAC can do their presentation, give everybody a chance to go to the bathroom, stretch their legs, whatever. Following that, the superintendent and the district administration will be provided with about 30 minutes to make their presentation to the board. At that time, the board and the legal counsel may ask questions of the superintendent or members of the administration at that time for clarification. Following that, the District Accountability Committee will be provided approximately 20 minutes to make their presentation. Again, the board will take the opportunity to ask questions of them at this time. During any of the Q&A portions, that's not going to count against anybody's time. So if you guys are doing your 30-minute presentation and then we go into questions, we're not going to say, oh, yeah, we can only answer one question because we're up against 3 minutes. We'll extend it past that once we get into the Q&A piece of it. Following all of this, I will go ahead and close the public hearing, and the board will then deliberate. The board may go into executive session to talk with our legal counsel, and if so, we'll come back down here. Neither the superintendent nor the application is going to participate in that as well. If questions arise during our discussion when we return from executive session, we may ask clarifying questions of you or the administration or the DAC. We initially set a second date, so we have reserved the option to either deliberate and make our decision this evening or wait until December 12th and make a decision. That gives us a little more time to deliberate. I already did speak to the board about this, but I just want to remind them that in order for us to have a really productive evening here tonight. If you have a question or something, I'll be watching you guys. Just indicate to me if you have a question, and I'll make sure your question gets answered. As far as the public hearing portion or public comment portion of the meeting is concerned, we're not going to limit the number of speakers who want to speak, but we are going to put a time limit on that. So it'll be about 3 minutes, and our board secretary will be keeping the time. There are some clipboards that should be circulating or maybe on the table back there. If you wish to speak during the public portion, we'd ask that you just sign that. So you may just want to kind of pass that down the line and try to get it to make its way back up here to Sil so she can give us that. We really want to make sure that everybody who wishes to speak is allowed an opportunity to do that. We will ask the members of the public to direct their questions and comments to the Board of Education and not the application, or not the applicants or the administration or the District Accountability Committee. If there's questions that you would like them to answer, ask them to us, and then we will ask the questions to them in that final session. And I just want to remind everybody to really try to focus your comments either on support or opposition of the application before us. That's the only thing the Board of Education is considering tonight is this application before us. We're not looking at anything else this evening. So if your comments aren't going to be directed towards that, I can't tell you you can't say things, but you're going to have 3 minutes. So I would use that time as effectively and efficiently as you can to support or show why you would be opposed to this application. With that, did I miss anything, ladies?
No.
Okay. All right. Make sure we're doing everything right. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing, and we'll turn it over to our applicant to begin the presentation.
Mr. Wales, do you need to speak onto the microphone, or can we stand up by the president, or do you need it for public record?
If you can hold the microphone.
Okay.
You can
This should be
yeah,
wireless.
if you could, Karen, because we are live streaming.
Right.
So.
Okay.
I think we'll just stay seated for time's sake.
I think this is on.
Yep, I can hear you.
Sounds on for
Can
sure.
you hear us?
Yep.
Okay, so we appreciate you guys having us here. We're going to just start with some introductions tonight. I'm Sheena McCallum. I'm the chair of our board. I've been in education for 19 years. I've been lucky enough to be in this school district for 10 of those. So I've taught at Ledford and Milliken and Roosevelt High School. And so I'm really honored to be here with you guys tonight.
Hi, my name is Carlos Alvarez. I am the principal of Korea Korean Community Academy, the founding principal for 12 years, and also the founder of the Civic Network.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm Amanda Galindo. I work with Academica as a liaison with Civica.
Hello, I'm Craig Horton. I work with Academica Colorado and Technology, so I'll be a little bit distracted at times.
My name is Trevor Goodsell, and I'm at that as well.
And there are other board members who are on the conference line who did little videos for you guys. So,
Okay.
Yes.
technology.
Technology. Stand by. Skip that for just a minute, sorry about that. Let's go on to, let's talk a little bit about today's review process. We have some cool videos I want to show you, but we're going to move on through a couple things and then come back to those, so I'm sorry about that. We were excited that today's review process is broken down into kind of 3 components. The administration component, the DAC component, and then ours. That's really, I think, the spirit of the way the state breaks out, the way they want a review to happen. They want an independent review from the DAC and the administration so that the board can have kind of a clean idea, sort of 2 looks at how the application goes. And we do want to have a really positive meeting today and talk about the school and the benefits of the school to the community. But it is important to note when you hear today from the DAC, And when you hear about this process, it wasn't quite independent, as some of you might be aware. When we had our DAC discussion, it wasn't the DAC acting as an independent body, asking us questions. It was really driven by the administration. And I think it's worth pointing that out, that wasn't a really community-centered, community-centric group that got to ask questions based on those perspectives. It was really driven by the administration. And as you know, but it's worth, for the record, pointing out that we brought a lot of people in for that meeting. They weren't allowed to speak. Mr. Alvarez was told not to speak to the DAC, which was awkward because we had brought him in a long ways and he was sitting next to everybody. The administration had asked us for the names of everyone that we brought, so that they could provide them with dinner, which was nice. But they didn't provide tables for our guests to sit at. They didn't provide name tags for our guests to wear. So it was awkward for us as well to have them there. So we were given about 100 questions. We had 4 hours to answer those questions with no breaks. We hadn't seen the questions before we got to sit down that day. So there was just a lot of tension. You've heard it, I'm sure. It was awkward. We're glad we passed that, but it did not happen. So it needs to be brought up with you today. But we have moved past that. So we really are encouraged that the administration is going to have the opportunity to speak from their perspective, and we hope that the DAC and that you'll ask and hear from them a citizens group, a teachers group, a parents group perspective on the application, which is what we think the spirit of the law says. And then we'll give you our piece as well. So we talked about that, then the separation of administration and DAC recommendations. We do want to talk about the League of Charter Schools review. In Colorado, there's a league, an association that represents charter schools in Colorado, and part of the good work that they do is they help charter school applicants at the beginning of the process make their applications better. And so we applied for grants, and with the grant money, we paid for 2 reviews of our application. The way the League of Charter School does that is they contract with charter school professionals across the state to review the different parts of the application, so the budget and the curriculum and the where people might have expertise. And so we did that twice, and we had mentioned that in some of our presentations, and there was some concern about that. So we did provide a letter from the League of Charter Schools. We'll give it to you tonight, Board. It says that we had a near stellar application, that we were well developed, that we were cooperative with the League's intentions, and the kind of scoring criteria that they used, which was similar, actually the same rubric that this district uses, the League of Charter School uses as well. So when they do that review, this is a letter from them just affirming that we went through that process and kind of their feeling about this group and the development that we did.
It's good to know Kathy Zlonski has done this for decades, and so she's been a wealth of support, and so that was helpful to know that someone with that much experience kind of guided us through this process.
I'm in Trevor itself for the record. I just wanted to talk about some of the couple things from the budget. One, acknowledge that we did have the wrong pair. We had the current year instead of next year's, which did have a little off, but even budgets are living documents. It was something that I'm well aware of, but even Para noticed that they're doing another increase last week, so we are aware of what the Para contribution was. It was a simple oversight that I didn't catch, and I have somebody under me do it, and I didn't catch it in my review, and so we are aware and catching it. Capital and construction funds and rural schools grants, we did reach out to the league when we were first doing this. It is appropriate to use these. Both them and CSI had told us that was something that was appropriate to have in our budgets. They're not huge amounts, and even if we did receive those, we could make our budgets work in those scenarios. In both, we did regular and contingency plans. Cash on hand for grants and expenditures. I've already in talks with a couple of banks who are more than willing to create lines of credits. I've done a line of credit with something like a CSP grant and other grants in the past for brand new startup charter schools who just don't have the cash reserves, where you provide them with the grant that shows they're going to be reimbursed and that you're able to set up lines of credit. So access to the cash is not an issue. And then Craig's next. No, that's for the facilities, this is CST.
So you may hear later some of those concerns, particularly about the para escalator and the construction grant. So we've taken into account all of the feedback that we got from DAC and from the budget. As much as we could, we tried to address everything. And so what you're hearing now for this next few minutes is, I think the concerns that have been raised, we've tried to address. Hopefully when you hear them in a minute, you'll at least have some context, and then we can address them, I guess, at the end if we didn't have it fully completed. So the CSP grant. So we put in for $1 million grant. As you know, the way that the federal charter school program is about a $50 million grant. It's a pass-through grant from the federal government to the state. And then every year the state gives out about $10 million of that, and they hope to fund about 10 schools, $1 million per school. There's two ways to apply for that grant and get it. One is you apply it in the year 0, and you get it for your 0 year, which is the year before you open, and then year 1 and year 2. Or you can get that $1 million in year 1 and 2. So they either split it by 30% or they split it by half, depending on which year you apply. So as you know, we applied and we did not get the grant in the 3-year window. So we have 2 options. One is we apply next year and just take it as the 2-year grant. We would be confident that we would have a good application then. But as we read our rubric review, we were really concerned by some of the stuff that we saw in it. The rubric was, as it turns out, in our opinion, internally flawed. The reviewers that we had were lazy in their responses, and we took that information to, and a few other things that you'll read. I'm going to give you some documents. We took that information to the Schools of Choice office that administers the grant last Tuesday. And they deliberated. We said we wanted a rescore. We didn't like our score. We didn't like the team that scored us. And so on Friday, they agreed, as you've read, to throw out that score and give us a new review with a new independent team. I'd like you to consider that score moot. It is not valid anymore, the score that we got before. I'm going to give you our appeal document. I'm going to give you exactly the reasons why we didn't think that was a fair score. And you can be the judge yourself. And also, I don't think you've seen the application. The CSP grant application. We offered it to the district, and we're told that there was no interest in reading it when we submitted, actually before we submitted it. So now we'll give you the application, we'll give you the rubric review score, and our comments about the score. So we have accepted the grant, the re-review of the grant, and we should get that review sometime in the next couple of weeks. Unfortunately, it's going to be after this process completes. But I want to encourage you that that score does not exist anymore. That we'll have a new review, a new team, and a new score. And we're very confident, based on what we presented and what we heard, that we'll have a positive outcome on the grant.
So we just want to talk about enrollment really quick. As of today, we have 147 families that have intent to enroll with us, which is about 280 students. We have 122 of our first year enrollment, which would be 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, which is 90%. And we just kind of disaggregated this. This was something that kind of came up at the DAC. We just want you to know that those students that are enrolled are from our school district, which you can see in the first one. And then we also broke it down what schools they're coming from. So we're just trying to address everything that came up. We're really excited about that enrollment, and we wanted you guys to see that.
Okay, we're going to step back just for a second and try to get our first couple of presentations to you here. We had a couple people that we wanted you to hear
Good evening,
from.
members of the board. I apologize, I am not there with you this evening. Prior to us agreeing to extend our decision date, my husband and I both trip to Germany. Technology is not our side tonight. I'm there with my phone, and so hopefully that worked out. I want to thank you guys all for the opportunity this evening to be with you and to share with you all why Citizen in Colorado is such an amazing opportunity and amazing school in our community. I hope I am available for questions this evening by phone. Thank you.
Good evening, this is Rex Beal. I'm one of the board members here for Citizen Colorado. Very sorry I couldn't be there tonight, but after found out that we gave you guys the extension, all our boys on our football team qualified for the national championship in Florida, and so obviously that's a pretty important deal to be able to go to that. So we're not going to be around today, but we are hoping technology will allow us to be there tonight to answer any questions you might have on the phones if all works out. And just excited to still be a part of this and moving forward and working with the district and doing what's best for these kids. One thing that you might hear a little bit later about is an issue with the facilities. That's one thing that we didn't have a lot of room to talk about before, and you'll find out more a little bit later. But we're excited about having a place for these building for these kids to be, and year one, a place for the school to start. So thank you, and hope to be talking to you soon.
Good evening, folks. Thanks for having me. My name is Nolan Easton. I'm sorry I'm not there in person tonight to hang out and talk with all you folks about what Civic's going to bring to our community. Much better in person, not much of a movie star, so bear with me. But I'm a longtime teacher, coach, friend, neighbor in the community, and I want to talk to you a little bit real quick about what Civica means to me. When you look at Civic, it's about the community, it's about the way we treat each other, it's the way we interact, and at the end of the day, it's about how we prepare our kids and our students. So the first thing you do when you put a team together is coach stuff. You need to put a good group of people around you. To be successful, you got to have a good team and great leadership. And you have to have a network of people who can help you go through that process as you build a place like Civica. It's going to be a big, awesome project for our community. We're going to do a good job with it. We understand how big of a job it really is, but we surround ourselves with a successful team, a network school, something that's been battle tested and successful, and proven successful in a community that's very similar to ours. You know, it really is. Success, it will also come down to what our community does tonight. We have to make this happen for our community. It's important we understand that what's best for kids is options. What's best for parents is options. And this school will be all based on character and the way we interact with one another. At the core of what we do will be honor, respect, and loyalty. And at the end of the day, that will be the umbrella for everything we do in our building. It will be the foundation of who we are at Civica. So again, I wish I was there to talk more in person about it, but these folks here will do a great job for you. And I'm hoping I can interact with you through technology tonight, and we can get this thing up off the ground and do something powerful and impact our community for many years to come. Thanks again.
So we've spoken to you at our community meetings, we've spoken at the district accountability committee capacity interview about what Civica is about. And it's only so much you can say verbally, but we wanted to kind of paint the picture through visual aids and show you what the culture of Civica Colorado is going to look like here.
Hello to the great state of Colorado. My name is Carlos Alvarez, principal of Cohia Career and Collegiate Academy and founder of the Civica Network. We are so excited to bring Civica Career and College Academies to the town of Johnstown and Milliken, but above all, to its students. We're excited about our pathway model and bringing in our Health Sciences Academy, our Business and Information Systems Academy, and our Industry and Manufacturing Academy as well. We want to enable our students through industry certifications to go right into the workforce at an entry-level position upon completion of high school. Our partnership with Ames Community College will give students the opportunity for dual enrollment and advanced academics. Strong partners like Hall Irwin Construction, the Boys and Girls Club of Weld County, and yes, Charter School Facilities Bonding Company as well. You want to take a look at what the culture of Civica Colorado is going to be like? Follow me. Let's take a look.
I decided to pursue communications because when I was a junior in high school, I wrote an article, I wrote a story for the Doral College Millennial, and it got published. And that same year, I gave a presentation in Washington to a few other schools and faculty members in Washington. And that is what sort of showed me that I wanted to do communications, I wanted to study how to communicate, journalism, reporting, and that's just how I got my groundwork through the school.
The criminal justice police academy program in our school and the PSA academy gave you the inside outs of what law enforcement and police work would be like if you pursue that career. So in other words, it gave you the advantage of knowing what you're getting yourself into.
I took first responder here to go to the fire academy that they did, and I fell in love with it. And I think if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be in this job that I'm in today.
Bringing actual instructors doing the real world thing. They come in, they tell you things, they teach you things, they give you a little insight of what it is. That just motivates you, that makes you want to get out there and do your thing.
It's just really amazing to see how much it's grown. When I was here, there was only 400 kids in the entire school, and now we're by 920, so I would say that's a lot. It's a big improvement, and it just makes me really happy to walk around and see how big it's gotten.
There was an inherent sense of family that kind of grown over the years. Even with 1,000 kids, it's still a very close-knit community.
This school is definitely a place where you can come here and you can do anything. If you want to be a police officer, this is where you get your groundwork. If you want to be a fireman, you can start here, get your certifications. If you want to be a reporter, you go into this academy. So definitely this school, it really prepares its recruits, it prepares its students for the world and for the future. And I think this is definitely the place you want to be if you want to pursue any kind of career. Absolutely.
We wanted you guys to get a little insight. We've all been there. All of the local board has been there and worked closely, and we just have never gotten over it. So that's a little piece of it. We can't bring you all to Florida, but it was exciting because the reason we keep going is because we really want to change the lives of kids. So I know one at a time.
So Craig had mentioned that when we had come here initially for our capacity interview, we brought a whole team. And the concept of our school to be successful in your community, it's going to take a team. This is not a Carlos Alvarez show. This is a team that's going to provide the support and the level of trust and build the relationships with this community to establish the school's success. So I want you to understand that from a mindset perspective, I will be highly involved, but I will not be the only one highly involved with the school. We are committed to the school's success, and we are committed to providing, and here's an example of some of the things that the Civica Network will be providing in support to the school in Colorado. Staffing of teachers. Again, hiring qualified teachers is a national epidemic. Whether it's in Florida or in Colorado or Nevada or any other state, we're all in dire need of finding highly qualified educators. So what the Civica Network, some of the examples what the Civica Network has created is a team mentoring model. So once we recruit these highly qualified teachers, we're going to put them through our teacher education and mentoring program. Also, some of the things that we can do is that our teachers within our Civica Network are certified, are Springboard certified in both ELA and mathematics, and they're certified trainers to provide the training on how to use the Springboard curriculum that is in the application that we shared with you all. Another example is that in our video you saw that in these CTE pathways, in the career pathways, we're bringing people from the workforce, okay? So one of the things that we figured out there is how do you recruit and how do you retain individuals to teach this type of level of instruction, because it's not type of instruction in business and information technology, in health sciences, that you can just pick up an ELA teacher to teach this. We understand that there's specific trade and specific objectives and outcomes that have to be taught. So what we're going to do as well, in hiring these CTE industry professionals to teach the appropriate classes, they're going to be certified as instructors. So for you to teach a career pathway class, you have to be an instructor of record. And again, this is the support that we'll be providing to Civica Colorado. Certified instructors of record by the certifying agency. So we're going to walk you through the process of, again, getting certified. And these are some of the agencies, again, aligned to the industry certifications that we're going to offer here. What's in the demand for this community. Certiport, which is for Adobe certification, anywhere from Illustrator, Premiere, Photoshop. In the International Emergency Medical Service Registry, which is for our Health Sciences Academy. And then we have the National Healthcare Association as well, that's aligned with the Health Sciences for the nursing program. And then OSHA is one of the other ones as well. In addition to that, and this was something that was brought up at the DAC, is we don't expect Sheena to have it all figured out, but we expect to surround her with a team of support that will enable her to be one of the most successful principals in your county. Our goal is not only for this school to be successful, but our goal is also to help this district look better with our accountability and our performance. So what are some of the things that we're doing through the principal leadership professional development that's gonna take place with Ms. McCall? Principal training and development, she's gonna have a residency prior to the school opening in Miami, Florida. There's gonna be quarterly data chats with Civica partners, school culture, safety and security, a communications plan developed, community outreach and marketing outreach. We're also gonna have her participate in a Doral Leadership Institute, which is a principal preparation program. It's a one-year program where she'll go through 7 different modules where they talk about anywhere from budgeting and financing, curriculum and data, facilities, ESC, ELL, you name it. It's a gamut of modules. We put all of the applicants that go through the program in Florida, in Nevada, and in Texas. We put them through this Doral Leadership Institute, and it's a one-year professional development leadership institute. Also, as Mr. Wales had mentioned earlier, he's like, you're not dodging this cold weather, and I said, no, I'm not. And again, this is just verbally telling you, but I'm a person that once you get to know me, I like to lead by example. So one thing is that you're seeing is that monthly on-site training for principal and leadership team. So one thing is verbally that I'm telling you, and another thing is, I guess we'll get to know each other, because we plan to be actively involved in Civica, Colorado. I already know that I can fly to Denver and take the train and end up in Union Station, and then Union Station has a hotel. So I'm learning myself around this community, and the entire team plans to be actively involved in supporting Civica, Colorado, and its future success.
So one of the areas that was brought up as a concern was the facility. And part of the reason we didn't talk a whole lot about the temporary facility was because originally it was under negotiation for sale. So now that that sale is actually under contract, a proposed agreement has been written with that new owner. So that's really exciting for us for year one. So we do have a written agreement with the sports barn. It is a 10,000 square foot available space for the school. That doesn't include the other space, that's just what we have access to. There's a build-out plan already in place for 8 classrooms. In addition, there's going to be a multi-purpose area, and kids can eat in that space as well. It is a certified public facility, and there's outdoor land. If we need to have additional classroom space, we can add modulars to the area outside the building. We do have a contract of that. We do have a copy of that contract. We will provide you with one. But here it is up on the screen.
So, Trevor, do you want to talk about facility financing a little bit as we talk about the permanent space?
So the space she was talking about was obviously a temporary space. And I'll let Craig kind of talk about the partnership with the Boys and Girls Club just around the corner right here. But as far as financing it, we got a letter of support from Kate Davidson just down in Denver. That's a big part of what I do is getting access to funds. We have several different people who are interested in financing a project like this. We would bring multiple options to the Civica board to give them, whether that would be going to the bond market immediately, which we have ability to do, or that would be to work with a group that would be developer to front the costs at the beginning. And whenever we do that, we always put in a buy option for the school a few years out to allow them to get cash reserves. So we would bring multiple options to them, and we'd have access to many sources who are more than willing to be a part of that project.
So thanks, Trevor. I'm going to stand up here if you don't mind. So this project, we're down here. So we're at the school district building here. The school, right, the permanent facility is just down the way. I think most of you know that. Here's the MAC, here's the pool, some of the athletic courts. So Brett Hall has donated this space, this 27 acres, for a new Boys and Girls Club and the new charter school. That completes this space right here from the MAC down is 85 acres for Milliken. To have a community complex where kids can come, where adults can come, where there's baseball fields and soccer fields, football field for Nolan. So this is a huge community investment that we can do just with this vote tonight. We do have access to TRPR, and we've offered our spaces to them as well, so they can increase their offerings through our athletic facilities. And we do have obviously a written letter of support and intent to partner with the Boys and Girls Club so that we can get rolling on that project. Oh, sorry, safety at the end there. We talked before at the DAC, some parents were concerned that we hadn't addressed safety enough, and that's important. I'm glad they did. Safety really begins when you're thinking about building the building. So, like, in terms of safety, our building's going to have fire sprinklers, which Roosevelt and Millikan, neither of those two schools have fire sprinkler systems. So when we talk about safety, it's not just active threats that are outside the building, it's the way the building is constructed. So a brand new building has cipher locks on the doors, and it has security foyers, and it has fire sprinklers. Our kids wear uniforms, so it's really easy to see who belongs in the school and who doesn't, just by looking at them. We have a visitor kiosk called Concierge that logs in our visitors and runs a background check by their name, and they get a sticker. We have all our kids wear ID badges, and our staff wear ID badges. So security is built into the whole process of building the building. It's not just the building itself.
So transportation and food services has come up a few times, so we just wanted to address it with you. We did do due diligence to meet with the administration on June 15th, and we asked for special education, transportation, food service arrangements, and cost. And at that point, we were told that we had to have an approved charter before we could discuss any of those rates. We proposed putting in a bus into our CSP grant to see if we could work something out with transportation. So we did the best we could. At that point, we were told that we couldn't further that discussion. So as a charter school, we did make plans like carpooling and working with the food bank, but as a charter school, that's all we could do. That's all you can do is hope to work with your administration. So we just wanted you to know that if that topic comes up tonight.
So here's a little bit of the Civica network statistics we wanted to share. We are modeling, our network model is after a school that's been open for 12 years. I am the founding principal of that school as well. Some statistical information, and when you're looking at graduation rates, you look at graduation rates nationally. There's no difference between graduation rates in Colorado or graduation. Graduation rates are graduation rates. And again, you heard some of the young men and some of the alumni that graduated from our Civica network school. We attribute the graduation rate at 99%, and you can hear it through their conversations. You know, they graduated because they were motivated. They were motivated through these career pathways. And even though these are the initial pathways that we will be offering, we're not married to those. There's some other career pathways that we've opened at our school that it's students' voices. We empowered our kids to speak, and we've opened other academies because students' voices were heard. So again, we attribute the graduation rate. One of those components is students being highly motivated through the academy model. We've been an A school rated 3 years consecutively. We've been an A rated school for 7 years. Other than that, we've also been a B school. Our state has an accountability portion where the schools are graded, where it's called college and career readiness. And that's determined by how many students pass an industry certification exam, pass a dual enrollment course, or pass an AP exam. Our results from the prior year, from our last school grade, is 99% of our students were deemed by the state of Florida, by their Board of Education, as college and career readiness because they passed one of the 3 components. And some of them passed multiple components. In addition to that, here's some statistical information, again, on graduation rate. You know, our goal is to come into the district and help you guys out. We want to help you guys improve your graduation rate. You have a solid graduation rate already. Here's some, again, statistical information. In 13-14, our county had a 77% graduation rate. You know, our Cohia, our Civica Network School had a 94% graduation rate, and you guys had 80%. The last information that came out on graduation rates, you know, our county had an 85% graduation rate. Our school had a 99% graduation rate, and you guys, you know, kudos to you guys in your district doing a phenomenal job, you know, an 87% graduation rate. So our graduation rate results, our goal is to come in here and help you out with your district graduation results. Next slide. again, going over some information, and again, one of the speakers at the DAC, and I don't recall her name right now, you know, there was a lot of curriculum conversations, a lot of content conversations, and I think maybe you have led some of those conversations in reference to ELA and mathematics and content being delivered. So I just wanted to share with you, you know, some of the information on how we're doing, because at the end of the day, we're going to be comparing Civica Colorado's comparison also is going to be compared to the district, and we're going to yes.
Go ahead. But when you get I thought it was timing it right.
Okay. So again, we'll be doing the same thing here in Colorado and comparing Civica Colorado to the state and to the district. And again, we're going to be working towards always being at par or above district or state level. So here's some highlights. Our 7th grade, our 8th graders. Algebra 1 is an end of course exam. It's mainly taken by 9th graders. However, middle school students can take it as an acceleration model, and geometry as well. Just so you know, MDCPS is Miami-Dade County Public Schools, which is one of the, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's the 5th largest school district in the country. Here's some ELA. Again, I know math and ELA was brought up at the past DAC, and there were a lot of questions have been bouncing back and forth about content. And I think, again, some of the information that we provided to the DAC on our application, the proof is in the pudding. You know, we're doing a lot of right things. Obviously, some things will be molded and adapted, you know, to this district, you know, and to the state. And I had heard someone make a comment that it was just completely like out of the ballpark, saying, oh, you can't compare, you know, the kid to Florida to the kid to Colorado. No, kids are kids. Just like they couldn't let me speak because I came from Florida in my prior DAC meetings. So, you know, those are things that just don't make sense to me. At the end of the day, whether you're in Florida, a kid learning is a kid learning. And Civica Colorado's #1 priority is for kids not only in Florida, but kids here in Colorado to learn as well, and in this district as well.
Hey, so real quick, we're at 32 minutes. How much more do you?
I think we're done right here.
We can say whatever else.
We got 2 more slides.
Let's just skip that and let's go with the video.
Okay.
So I just want to finish real quick. Everything we do is about kids. Every person in this room has one common factor, is kids. When we started this process together, we got in it to change the lives of kids. And so I just want you to see this really quick, because this is what matters to me.
You changed it.
Let's try that one more.
You gotta press the black, put the cursor on there and press play. Put the cursor in the.
He's not really the technology
not
guy,
really
just
the
so you guys know.
Right there. And press play in the black.
Gotcha. That was not gonna play.
We'll have it fixed for.
We'll fix it
Press play.
next
You
time.
didn't press play?
I did, yes. Okay. Let's go on.
Okay.
Okay. So I have a statement I need to share with you guys from our council. So right now, the application is complete as was submitted on August 30th, 2019, and the board is reviewing it as it was submitted. Additional documents will not be accepted in the public hearing, and the application may not be amended at this time. I need you to understand this. This is consistent with the application process as set forth in the Charter School Act. Otherwise, the board is reviewing a different application that was presented to the community, reviewed by the administration, and reviewed by the DAC. So just so you're aware of all that. Well, let me do this real quick. This might give you some time, Craig, to get your video fixed. Do any of you have questions right now for the applicant that may not make sense later on in the evening? We will have time later. If there was anything pressing or anything that you had, so no questions from you guys. Okay. Well, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
And you're back tomorrow. Just do a little things here. So, do we get our clipboards back? Go ahead and get ready to open it up for public comment. So it looks like we have 7 individuals that signed to speak. 8 individuals?
9. It never came down this way.
Okay.
Sorry.
So let me just ask real quick. Is there anybody in here who did not sign this who does wish to speak? So we have 1, 2, so two additionals, okay. I'll call you guys at the last. I don't know your name, so.
It's Corey.
Corey?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and we'll open up with Adeline Meza. And if you would, please, for the record, just state your name and address.
My name is Adeline, and this letter is on behalf of Jenna Evans and Stephanie Meza. They are teaching classes at this very moment to the kiddos of this community and could step away for this meeting, but they didn't want the opportunity to pass to speak on behalf of the school and give their insight to the benefits it will surely bring. We have interest in Civica coming to fruition for so many reasons, but the main one is simply we want to see more education options for our children. Both Steph and I are long-standing members of Johnstown, Stephanie actually being a graduate of Roosevelt High School. We have made this community our home. We have chosen this as the place to raise our families and give our children everything they need to set themselves up for a successful future. I personally have lived here just under 14 years. I'm a proud member of this community and feel very lucky to have had such a wonderful place for my children's childhood. Along with being members of the community, we are also business owners here as well. Steph and I are the future owners of the sports barn in which our programs thrive, with over 700 young athletes. Between the 3, Gym Stars Elite, Triple Threat All-Stars, and Dance Stars Studio. We have a vested interest because our business is the children of this town. We spend our lives trying to better the existence of the kids in this community. We work tirelessly to ensure they have access to sports, positive recreation, and an abundance of people who simply care. We hear their stresses, we know the teachers, we see the struggles, and we know that more can be done. We are also excited to partner with Civica Colorado and house them at the sports barn for their first year or more if needed. We want to be a part of the change of this community and its children so desperately need. When I moved here some time ago, Johnstown was relatively small. In the last 10 years, the towns have grown an incredible amount. There has been development of homes, parks, a new rec center coming, businesses moving in, but one thing that has not changed is the schools. They have remained the same regardless of the new citizens, new families, and new kiddos. It all remains the same. We have not allowed space for the new students to flourish and feel fulfilled. We have not set them up with the intent that they get the personal care that each student is entitled to. Instead, we have looked the other way and continue to build and entice new students to make their homes here with no real solutions as to how we will house all the new students coming in. Our schools are wrought with issues and not just budget issues. We've had problems with administration, we've lost amazing talented teachers, we have structural problems, maintenance issues, we are overcrowded, and we need to do something. I don't believe that Civica will be the solution to all the problems we face. However, it would be a giant step in the right direction. Education is a matter that all of us should be concerned about, whether your household has children who attend school or not. Pardon me for sounding cliche, but they are the future of our lovely towns, and they are who will be taking care of us as we age, as well as ensuring future generations have the opportunity to grow up in such a wonderful place. We owe it to the kids and to ourselves to provide a safe space where they can go and learn.
Thank you, Samantha. Does anybody have any questions for Our next speaker is Emily Stanfield. Boys and Girls.
The microphone's not on. Can you make sure the microphone's on?
Okay, just click right there in the front.
Hello.
Perfect.
Good evening. My name is Emily Stanfield. I'm with the Boys and Girls Club. I'm just going to read something very quick. The Boys and Girls Club's organization is pleased to support Civica Colorado and articulate our initial involvement in the planning of a new school building and adjacent Boys and Girls Club facility for the Johnstown-Milliken communities. The Boys and Girls Clubs of Weld County continues to advocate for youth in the region and is continually looking for ways to improve our services to club kids. We're discussing the partnership with Civica Colorado and Hall Irwin to provide for new facilities in the Johnstown-Milliken School District. The vision of building adjacent school and club facilities would allow us to focus additional attention to serving the needs of the teen population in this community, tapping into the demographic of grades 6 to 12 who would be served by this school. This effort would further our commitment to increasing educational and character-building opportunities for the young people in these communities. We look forward to continuing our involvement to keep discussions moving forward. Thank you.
Any questions, Reverend Scott?
First off, let me just say, as Barney Barker's pastor, thank you for all that you do for the kids, the Boys and Girls Club. I hear about it all the time.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
My question for you is the development that is planned. Obviously, what I think I heard you say was it would definitely be aided by the presence of Civica, but is it dependent on the presence of Civica? If Civica wasn't approved at the time, would you still move forward with your development plans or some version of development plans?
No.
Okay.
It would be in partnership.
Okay, and only that way.
Correct.
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, boy. Darren? Darian, okay.
How do I get over there?
Careful. All right.
First of all, I just want to be clear. My name's Darian Burns. I'm an 8th grade teacher at Milliken Middle School. I want to be clear that I'm here personally as a lifelong educator to give my views on that. I'm not representing the district and I'm not representing my school in any way, shape, or form. When I came to be a teacher after taking a 15-year break in that, one of the biggest things that I noticed differences between when I left in the late 90s and when I returned 6 years ago was the character development of our students and how it had declined precipitously in my regards. When I bring up these concerns, often I would hear about where our concentration are on standards, and those aren't included in our standards. One of the things I like the most about Civica is its motto is good people making good people. And in each of their presentations, as I've watched and observed, they've really concentrated on character development. And I think that's something that we need desperately in our nation and in our community. They have modeled a proven, shown us a proven model of success. They have a team that has done this before. They have their own experts who have a track record of not running a huge educational bureaucracy, but of changing individual lives of students and growing a school. You did not hear from these experts, or the DAC did not hear from these experts, and I think that was a disservice at the original meeting because of administrative decisions that were made either by the DAC or the school district. They have a passion, they have heart, they have creativity that are possible in a small, flexible, grounds-up endeavor. You have leadership who has a proven commitment to the students of this community. I believe 19 years was one of them, and then I don't know how many were the others. Often leadership and passion are not only not rewarded in traditional educational institutions, but they are the first thing to be punished. Leaders are labeled as troublemakers. Innovators are labeled as not being team players. Those who question failure are often labeled as insubordinate. It is not intentional, but it is a systematic problem within modern day education, and it is deeply embedded in the status quo of how things are done. You're at a huge DAC, you're at a huge manual written that directed them of how to move forward in this. And now I just want to talk as a teacher. As a civics teacher in your community, I teach my students that the core of America is an idea. We go over it over and over all year long, and that idea is individual liberty. Freedom. You have the ability to give parents a choice. to offer them the freedom to choose something different. It's not for everyone, but it is for some parents. I'm almost through. The reason we are successful as a country is because we have invested in freeing our citizens to create, question, and experiment, to choose outside the lines of government mandates and controls. I ask you tonight to allow parents the liberty to choose what they desire for their children, to allow students the liberty to follow their dreams and a career path not yet offered otherwise, and to allow teachers and administrators the freedom to be unchained by governmental mandates that kill individuality, values, and creativity.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Troy Miller.
Hi, my name is Troy Nolan. I live at 1115 Country Acres Drive, Johnstown. And I'll have to bifurcate my comments a little bit. First off, as a member of the Johnstown Town Council, we've historically been supportive of education and as an example, came out in support of the last bond measure. We know that education is a complex business, and we know that there's a lot of decisions that you need to make regarding this application. And we didn't take a stand one way or another, mostly because we wouldn't have known what we were looking at, no more than you guys would have known looking at a specs for a water plant. So we kind of stayed in our wheelhouse. Just as a citizen, I see a real cultural need for, I won't say a less than college education, but of a different educational path that doesn't necessarily lead directly. In prior centuries, we've had an apprentice type program where young people learn their trades through an apprenticeship with a carpenter or a blacksmith or something like that. And that kind of innovation or kind of hands-on training, I think, has suffered in the recent decades, and that's something that inspires me about this application, that there's that opportunity for young people to make a difference relatively quickly after a high school graduation as a trained professional in a field. The other thing I want to say is, over my tenure as an elected official, one of the things I've noticed is that whenever there's something new or something different to try, there's always a lot of reasons to say no. It's too hard, it's not, we don't quite understand how the money's going to fall, we don't understand how something's going to work. But I think the best things that come out of government at any level, but especially the local level, is when a board stands up and takes an attitude of, we're going to try something different, we're going to be brave, we're going to allow ourselves potentially to fail, but also allow ourselves to succeed bravely. And I think this is an opportunity for that to happen.
We'll stay standing. Our next speaker is one of them is Rob
Well, President Wales, members of the board, Superintendent Arnold, my name is Robin Denman, and I live at 601 North Bruce Street in Johnstown, Colorado. I am delighted to be here tonight because I have had the privilege and honor and joy of teaching in this district for 41 years. I taught third grade for 25 years. I taught second grade for 8 years after that. As I look around, I've taught many of you, your children, and nieces and nephews. It has been a glorious ride for me. I have friends that started in at Ledford or Milliken and Ledford, and they left for greener pastures. And I knew right away this was where I wanted to be, and I fulfilled that wonderful journey, and now am subbing and have subbed for now 8 years. And the joy, again, it's joy. I now had grandchildren of the children that I taught. And I tell them I taught their grandmother, and their eyes just kind of bug out. And it's just, that's the connection that I have always had, and I have had, and I have fulfilled that. Why I'm here tonight is very simple, because I adore this community. I have been committed to it, I'm devoted to it. I will give my 110% every day for this community. At some point, kids started leaving. I was aware that children were leaving our district and then going to other schools. And in some cases, not even finishing school. And when I heard that, there was no doubt in my mind it was not because our schools were great, because I knew they were. Our schools are outstanding, exemplary schools. We have graduated kids who have become engineers, we have NFL players, we have it all. And so I knew that it was not because this district was not a good district, we have excellent results. It was because something was not fitting for these kids. Something didn't fit. And to think that one situation would ever fit for all people would be very cavalier, and it certainly is not the case. We have children who are working at trying to become the best they are. I want for those kids what everybody wants. I want kids who are going to grow up, who are going to be successful, and they come back. They leave in a heartbeat. They leave after senior year. They're out of here, peace out, and they come back. And they come back with their families, and they come back and grow their families. And that's why I have dear grandchildren, the children I taught. I want them to be able to go out, get a job, come back, and be successful and say, I did it. I did it the right way. I did it the best way. I am so good. I'm going to continue. And we have that in our district, and we have that everywhere. And so this new opportunity that Civica is giving us is, to me, the answer to a problem that has existed for quite some time. We need to start addressing careers for children. If we don't, they don't know where they're going. And I'm seeing that more and more. What do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know. What do you want to study at school? I don't know. I'm just going to college. And those that don't like college, they drop out, and they don't have a job, and they are unsuccessful, and they are then part of the group of kids and people that are now not successful. So I want this district, what you want for this district, and I want to Civica, and I hope we get it. So, whoa!
As I always say, thank you so much for all you have done. Thank you all. Our next speaker is Sean Lyden.
Good evening. My name is Sean Lyden, 6501 Algonquin Drive in Johnstown. First off, I just want to thank all of you for coming out and this unbelievable presentation once again from the Civica team. I think that we were all a little disappointed over a couple weeks ago when this bond didn't pass through. It was very exciting, I think, for our community and our district. And not seeing that pass is a little jab to the gut, I think, for a lot of people that want to see change in this community, continue to see it grow. My wife, the poor thing, is from small town Kansas, and when I told her I was from small town Colorado, when she moved here, she's like, no, you're not. And I was just as caught off guard too when I moved back to see how vast it's grown. And I think we're in a very unique spot right now, seeing how close this bond came to passing. I think it came down to single-digit votes in some areas, and you know, it makes you wonder. And I think what Civica has to offer, talking about, like our previous speaker here, about making sure that there is options for people. we have 147 unique families or something that have already basically said, hey, I want to come here. And I think that when she's talking about people leaving this district, my fear is, where are they going to go if this thing doesn't happen, right? If we've already got people leaving and we're not making any dynamic changes to improve, although we're trying. On the flip side of that, I see what Civica has to offer. I've been to a lot of their presentations with a very open mind to see really what it was about, see what it has to offer. Before I moved back, I was coaching college baseball for 5 years and did a lot of recruiting. And you know, it was a very clear thing that you are a student and that you are an athlete. So the academics behind it and the character behind it was all a part of what we did when we recruited. The biggest thing I think I saw over the 5 years of coaching college baseball was the diminish in all of these things that these people are trying to bring to our community. And now being back here, all I can say as a person who graduated from Roosevelt High School, who had these wonderful teachers along the way, is it's about time. I think Johnstown and Milliken and WeldRE5J need something like this. I think it's an opportunity for this thing to establish a different side of things, another wheel in the spoke, so to speak, to give another opportunity to another kid that may in turn touch 10 more. I think it's very important to at least search within you. Over the past 5 to 7 years, whatever it's been, since I've been back here in this community, I've noticed a lot of division, a lot of personal agendas, a lot of behind the scenes acts. And all I can say is, if you can honestly sit here tonight as a parent, as a teacher, as a board member, as a business owner, whatever it may be, if you can watch this presentation and honestly search within you and say you don't like it, I really think we need to look in the mirror here and see what's really important and what we're doing for these kids in our community. And I believe what they are offering to these kids in this community will propel Johnstown, Milliken, and the WeldRE5 school districts. So, thank you.
So I'm kind of like Robin, I remember Sean before.
Right.
When I was- Our next speaker is Veronica Wilder.
Veronica Wilder, 201 Pin Drive, Johnstown, Colorado. I hope my son has you next year. That was amazing. So I have a kiddo that goes to middle school, one at Milliken Elementary. I was born and raised here myself, taught in this district for 12 years. Moved on and spread my wings a little bit, and I'm glad that I'm able to have a voice to be here without repercussions or anything to that. I like what you had to say as far as, I think we get lost in all that. I know schools have that behind the scenes money and dollars and cents and all that stuff, but it is about kids. And we are about kids, and this is about kids. And I think if we lose sight of that based on the dollars and cents side, that you clearly actually have it pretty strong, so I don't think that should be it, but that'd be a pretty sad thing. You all asked for our support on the bond and mill levy, and I can only speak for myself, and I know a lot of members of Civica also supported that. I reached out to a couple of the board members as well as Mrs. Arnold regarding some questions, because the questions that I had that concerned me did come from my previous superintendent, my boss, a previous board member who I respected, and so those were big concerns for me that, you know, those were things that were out there and I wanted to know, and thank you for making those clear to me and making me understand, and, because my kids do go to the school district. We live in the school district. I don't want rain falling on their heads either. I mean, so it was sad that the bond and mill levy did not pass, and I did bring this up last time. Somebody said it was off by a couple, you know, single digit numbers, and I did address that last time with Ms. Arnold. She's not even living in our community, if I'm correct from last time that I did ask you. That could have been, boom, 2 people votes right there. So I had to bring that up just because it's bothering me, sorry. So with that being said, you asked for our support, we gave it. A lot of the concerns with the bond were financial concerns for a lot of families and community members. I think that came up a lot. And we were willing to put that at our pocket at stake as well. So I think that's something you guys can look at too, as far as kind of like we did what you asked us to. We want you to help us pass this because it's for our kids. Thank you.
Director Hall.
I have a question, and it's nothing personal, but it keeps coming up that Ms. Arnold may not live in our district. Do you currently live in the district you work in?
Not anymore.
Oh, that's all I wanted to ask.
No, but I will tell you this, Sarah.
Hey guys,
that I was born and raised here.
Because this really has nothing to do with.
Okay, well, I would like to address that because you got a chance. So I was born and raised here.
We're not gonna do
I
that.
moved.
You guys can talk
The
about
district
that.
I'm
We can
working
talk
at
about
now
that
is where I went through middle school and high school. Thank you.
Yeah, I really, for our remaining two public speakers, I really want to keep us on track on what we're discussing here tonight, and that is civic advocacy. Our next speaker will be Cricket.
I'm Cricket Sonderman. I live at 1461 Farmland Lane in Milliken. So I had two things I wanted to bring up really quick, just because you don't hate me. But there is one point of law that I would like clarification on some point. I wanted to quote from the Charter School Act, and it says that the charter applicant, oh, here we go. The local board of education is not required to take, skipping down again. Hold on. Here we go. The school district may request additional information during the review period and provide reasonable time for the charter applicant to respond. The school district may, but is not required to accept any additional information that the charter applicant provides that the school does not request. So just going off of the Charter Act and that we cannot accept their modifications through the review process, according to the Charter School Act, we actually can and should. Then if we asked for that information, or that's what it said, the school district may request additional information during the review period and provide reasonable time for the charter applicant to respond. So that was just a point of clarification that we might want to, I could be wrong, I'm not a lawyer, but that's kind of how it sounds to me. That aside, we live in a community that is divided, and that's pretty evident by the bond and no vote. And a house divided against itself cannot succeed. It will fall, and it will fail. I think you might know that. So this is what I would put out there, is that the relationship, I've heard it from a lot of different sources, but for me personally, the relationship between any charter applicant and the school district is paramount above anything else. And if that relationship cannot be conducive one to another, then it will fall. And our district will fall if we cannot learn to get along with each other and learn to coordinate. So if it's possible, and I have a few ideas of how that could happen, but if it's possible for the Civica team and the administration and the Board of Education and the community members to all get together on the same team and work together, I believe that we could make this the best district that we could if we are given enough time and if we are given enough, if we can let down our guard a little bit on everybody's side and revisit this and let's try again. Let's do this over. Let's take a step back, redo everything, and I don't know if that's possible at this point. I might be completely wrong. But I would love to be a part of that team where it's not Civica against the administration and where it's not the Board of Education against the community. But I would love to start over and do this right so that we can have, Carlos has bred a totally new breed of humanity that doesn't exist in Washington and doesn't exist in politics. And if we can bring that here and get on the same page together, then we could do something good here. But we're all going to have to stop it and start over. I don't want to hold on.
Could you clarify more for us on?
If you, as the board, have legal questions for me when we're in executive session, I will address them for you.
Okay. Okay.
Clarify that.
Yeah, so we'll get an answer for you on that.
Awesome.
Any other questions for Director Whitman?
Cricket, could you
pretty plain.
clarify where you quoted that information from so that?
I can. It's from the Charter School Act. It's in section C, right before 1.5. It's under annotations. And then if you scroll up a little bit, I'll get to the main heading, and that would be really helpful. So hold on one second. We're going all the way up here. Okay, it's in 22-30.5-106 dot charter application dash contents, and then you scroll down for like ever on my phone. Anyway, but it's the letter that it's labeled by is C, and there's a whole paragraph there that is right after annotations, so it goes through the cross references and then it goes to annotations, and then right under annotations it says the governing policy provisions of a charter contract. And then under that, there's 1B, and then C, and it's under that section, and it begins with within 15 days after receiving a charter school application, is how it begins. And it says the school district shall determine whether the application contains the minimum components specified in section 22-30.5-106, and then it has the numeral 1, and is therefore complete. If the application is not complete, the district shall, and then it goes on, and then in the about halfway through that paragraph.
Sorry, you're fine.
And so about halfway through that paragraph, it says that the local board of education is not required to take action on the charter application if the charter applicant does not provide the required information within the 15-day period. The school district may request additional information during the review period and provide reasonable time for the charter applicant to respond. The school district may, but is not required to, accept any additional information the charter applicant provides that the school district does not request. So, and then it says the district accountability committee, which is why I read this section. The district accountability committee shall review the complete charter school application at least 15 days if possible before the local board of education takes action on the application. And then it goes through and specifies more about DAC.
Reverend Scott?
Cricket, I take it from this, you served on the district accountability committee?
We just started in September, yep.
Okay, what was your position on that committee?
Vice chair.
Okay. Did you know anything about the Charter Schools Act before serving on this committee?
Sure didn't.
How much time do you think you probably put into your service to the committee?
Oh, God.
Ballpark.
Ballpark, weeks. I would say weeks. I probably spend on average 40 to 80 hours a week researching what I'm supposed to know for this job.
Well, thank you for the gift you gave this community and doing that work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And our final speaker is Corey. I'll get your last name repeated up here.
Do I gotta go all the way over there?
No, you
Can everybody hear me from
if you
here?
want,
You can go behind.
I'm not
through here.
a podium guy.
We
It's
need
kind of
to have
weird.
you on the microphone, that's the thing.
We need one mic for business. Broadcast.
So you can come right up through here. It's like church.
All right, can you guys hear me? Very good. All right, my name's Corey McCowett. I'm Sheena's husband. I figured I would speak at this just because there's a lot of different things. A lot of you don't know my wife. I do. We've been together 24 years. This journey she's been on has been 23 years in the making, I think it is. So it's not something that's just born out of things that any struggle or strife she's been through in this district or previous districts. It's something that she's wanted to do, just change lives, kids and communities. So she has a big heart, and she loves kids. She's in special education. There's two things. With a special education teacher, they get into it because they love kids, not because that's just a career path they want to go in. They really love kids. You don't get into education because you make a lot of money. You do because you make it out of the change that you can make in kids. She has one of the biggest hearts for her kids. She fights for kids. And when she started this journey, You know, a lot of things are going on, and she finally got to the point where she really said, I'm gonna do this. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it because I think that's for this community. She considers herself living in this community. She's taught here for 10 years. We live in Severance, but she commutes here every day for the last 10 years. The people she surrounded herself with, Nolan Easton, when she first spoke with him, she's like, he loves kids. That's who I want to be with me. When she started gathering people to be on her board, Rex Beal lives in this community, Stephanie Oppert lives in this community. Oh yeah, well, I'm getting to that. And so when she got people, it's from the community. They're not suits from Denver, they're not suits from Boulder, they're not suits from Cheyenne, they're not suits from anywhere. They're from this community. This is what they want for this community. Then she, Craig, we know Craig from a life group that we had, and he does charter schools, and his company, that's just all they do. And so she has this supporting network from this, not Civica, but Academica, to support her. And then when she met Carlos, I mean, she looked around for numerous places of a program that would work best for her. And when she found Carlos's, it's like, it matched right up. She has a team that truly supports her. And the biggest thing that I just want to hit back on that a lot of people have said is, it's about the kids in this community. That's all that it comes back to. It's not about who's bigger and who's badder. It's for the kids. Who's going to love the kids the most and support them to the best of their opportunities and help them grow to be successful individuals. So,
okay, we will go ahead and close the public comment portion of the meeting. Yeah, why don't we go, let's take why don't we come back here at 7:05? We'll take a recess till 7:05 and give everybody a chance to use the restroom, stretch.
We're fine.